Myrtle Square Mall. 15 years ago, this mall was torn down. Some of you might be thinking, Myrtle Square Mall, never heard of it. What are you talking about? The other half of you are probably having very vivid memories of this mall. This was the premier mall in Myrtle Beach for a very long time, for decades. So let's dive into the history and the demise of Myrtle Square Mall. It was the 1970s, and retail was starting to boom in Myrtle Beach. Now, the Myrtle Beach Farms Company was well aware of this and had a large piece of land just a few blocks from the beach. So they hired firm Nelson Benzing Design Associates to design an indoor shopping mall, the first in Myrtle Beach. One of the most intricate and interesting elements of this mall was in the hub of the spokes of the mall, if you will, had what they called at the time the world's largest clock. It was on the ceiling, so if you looked up, you could see the time filling the entire center of the mall. When I frequented this mall, it was the late 90s, so the clock I remember was a very 90s refurb, a lot of neon, a lot of, that 90s paper cup look with the squigglies. It's like that. It was a very 90s look, but it didn't look like that originally. When it first opened in 1975, the local economy was excited to have a shopping mall in the city of Myrtle Beach because the closest malls at that time were Charleston, Florence, Wilmington, even Columbia. So to have an indoor shopping mall was a really big deal. However, there was some criticism. A lot of your local vendors in the Myrtle Beach, Georgetown, Conway area were upset that a lot of the mom and pop Main Street style brick and mortar shops were going to be harmed by everyone congregating in the shopping mall. Initially, the mall opened with its first phase, and it had the anchor of Belk and Collins department store. If you don't recognize Collins, it later became Peebles department store. The second year of operation, in 1976, the opening of the first Chick-fil-a in Myrtle Beach was in this mall. Now, this is important because in 76, there were less than 50 Chick-fil-A's nationwide. So this was arguably one of the first locations, period, for Chick-fil-A. Upon completion of phase 2 of the mall, some extra tenants were added, including the third anchor and the final anchor, Sears. A decade had passed, it's now 1985, and another shopping mall had opened, Briarcliff Mall, which is between Myrtle and North Myrtle Beach. Nowadays, we call it Myrtle Beach Mall. Due to this competition and the next generation of shoppers, the Burroughs & Chapin Company decided to renovate Myrtle Square Mall. This is when we got the more up-to-date clock design, new flooring, and a couple of storefront renovations as well as the main corridors. Sadly, this was the last coat of paint for this mall because during the late 80s and into the 90s, the mall actually became quite quiet. One of the main department stores, Coker's department store, actually closed down and became Carousel Court. This was in 1991, next to an arcade and a couple of shops. And upon closing of the mall, these carousel horses actually found new homes throughout the city with little plaques on them. And if you locate them and you see a random carousel horse, for example, in front of the Chapin Art Museum on the south side of Myrtle Beach, you will see these horses, and this is where they're from. If you're familiar with Myrtle Beach today, you know that we have a current mall, Coastal Grand Mall. This mall was designed, constructed, and opened in the early 2000s. I believe the grand opening was 2004. At this time, Myrtle Square Mall was still operating, but not for long. Later that year, the mall closed permanently. So from 1975 to 2004, this mall was a hotspot for shoppers, for teenagers, for socializing, for so many things. The mall had around 90 stores during its lifespan, and 3 anchor shops as well. All of this came to an end by the end of 2006 when the demolition of the mall was complete, and what was left was a very large, vacant city block just stone's throw from the ocean. So there's a large empty piece of land in the middle of the city of Myrtle Beach that at one point was prime real estate to build the first major shopping mall in the area. So you got to think to yourself, man, what are they going to do next? Well, you know what? Everyone here has been thinking that exact same thought for 15 years because nothing has been built to replace Myrtle Square Mall. Nothing has been placed there. It is a vacant lot. You might say that's not fair because they do hold car shows here. They do hold the Jeep Jam on this piece of land. But you cannot deny the value of this city block and the potential that it has and has had for the past 15 years. Thank you for joining me, everybody, on this quick little history tidbit about Myrtle Square Mall. If you like this kind of stuff, check out the rest of the channel. And until next time, everybody, stay safe, stay healthy, and take it easy.